Ron Washington are the only two black managers in Major League Baseball. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to announce that like George and Weezy,
we're moving on now.
Earlier this year, we were named as semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You ready?
KBLA Talk 1580 was recently selected as one of 10 finalists being considered for this prestigious award. Hundreds of organizations, institutions, and even cities were nominated in the selection process. But KBLA Talk 1580 has made it to the finals. You're invited to watch live on Wednesday, April 16th. At 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, as Eco America announces the winner and the runner-up, awarding over $200,000 in prize money. To watch live, just go to ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Try to keep it coming. Things ain't always smooth. Oh, but I'll be alright as long as I can find the groove. Yes, I will. Yeah. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. Don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while.
Live from historic Liberty Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, two conversations. Up first, Marianne Drummond, daughter of Tuskegee Airman Lieutenant Colonel Charles H. Drummond Jr., and also Western Region President of Tuskegee Airmen, Inc., on President Donald Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's deleting photos, just erasing, taking down, discarding photos of the historic and courageous Tuskegee Airmen from the Pentagon's website and public records. Just talking too loud, moving too fast, doing too much, taking down the photos of these historic Tuskegee Airmen from the Defense Department's, the Pentagon's website and their public records. We'll talk about that in hour two. In fact, at the top of hour two with Marianne Drummond. On the B side of hour two.
No more rain in this cloud. No more rain in this cloud.
Our sunshine has come, and I'm all cried out, and there's no more rain in this cloud. There's no hiding place when someone
The family of Angie Stone has announced funeral arrangements for later this week for the Grammy nominee who died on March 1st when the vehicle she was riding in flipped over on that Alabama highway just outside of Montgomery. Flipped over a few times and was then hit by an 18-wheeler. We will tell you all about the public services for Angie Stone. They decided to go public. That's a beautiful thing, I think. So many fans of Angie Stone all around this country, indeed around the world. So we'll tell you all about the public services for Angie Stone on the backside of Hour 2, and by audience demand, reprise our tribute to Angie Stone just in case you missed it. I've tried to do at least some good work over the last 3.5 years hosting this program, but there's nothing we've done that generated the kind of response, a lot of response for the work we do here. But the response to that Angie Stone tribute was quite arresting even for me. And so in case you missed our tribute to Angie Stone, we will reprise that on the B-side of our 2 when we tell you all about the public funeral arrangements, that is, for Angie Stone later this week. In our third hour.
This is absolutely astounding. Thank you, Academy, for this very significant honor. I'm the first black man to receive the Costume Design Award for my work on Wicked. I'm so proud of this. Thank you, Mom and Emma, so much. Thank you, everyone in the UK, for all of your beautiful work. I could not have done this without you. My Ozian muses, Cynthia and Ariana, I love you so much. All the other cast, thank you, thank you, thank you for trusting me with bringing your characters to life. This is everything. Thank you. Thank you, John, Mark, everyone. Thank you.
This is everything. That is the, I love that. I love black people. This is everything. That is the voice of Paul Tazwell, who, as you just heard, is now the first black man ever to win an Academy Award for Best Costume Design for his work on Wicked. We will talk about his amazing career, his fascinating backstory, and why his work is about more than just clothes. When Paul Tazwell, Academy Award winner Paul Tazwell, joins us in Hour 3. But we commence today's show talking politics, as usual. Today, honored to have former Ohio State Senator, Buckeye State, and co-host of the unapologetically progressive radio show. I'm glad I got them, because I ain't got to say much with these 2 guests. Trust and believe. I was trying to say co-host of the unapologetically progressive radio show Truth Time, alongside Dr. Cornel West, Nina Turner. Also pleased to be joined by another colleague of mine, John Wood Jr., who's national spokesperson for Braver Angels and host of his own radio program, The Reconstruction Project. You'll hear both of their voices when we come forward in just a moment. Let me just set the frame for how I want to commence this hour. I'm reading stuff all the time. I was reading a piece last night in The Nation magazine that really just jumped out at me. I'm one of those persons, having written a number of books, I love metaphor. And you hear metaphor oftentimes in these conversations, but just listen to this one paragraph. I was reading last night in the piece in The Nation magazine. The headline is titled, "The Failures Democrats Must Confront." That's the headline. Read it for yourself. The failures Democrats must confront. But listen to the beauty of the prose in this first paragraph. Say nothing of the frame it sets. Democrats see themselves as a lighthouse, steady, guiding, a safeguard against chaos. But a lighthouse only works if people look to it. And more, they don't. The problem isn't just that the light is dimming, it's that voters have stopped navigating by it altogether. Beneath the surface, something deeper is stirring. Economic frustration, cultural disillusionment, and a growing sense that the party isn't attuned to the struggles of working people. The question isn't whether Democrats can keep the light shining. It's whether they understand what's rising in the darkness, and whether they can adapt before it overtakes them. Lord Jesus, I love good writing. I just love good writing, and that paragraph says it all. I'm quoting Paul Tazwell. It's everything. That one paragraph is everything. We're going to unpack it when we come forward. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
A new day is on the horizon.
Behind every great moment in history, there's a woman whose story went untold. This March on KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing those hidden narratives to light. Hear extraordinary stories of women who transformed science, politics, arts, and community. Women you've never heard of, but should know. Celebrating Women's History Month on KBLA Talk 1580, where every story matters.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and John Wood Jr. and Nina Turner, in case you've just tuned in. Let me just read this paragraph again, and I will cut John Wood Jr. and Nina Turner loose for the rest of this hour. And there's more I want to cover in this hour. But this piece last night, again, reading in the Nation magazine, it really just jumped out at me. I read once again. It's called The Failures Democrats Must Confront. For those who may have just tuned in, Democrats see themselves as a lighthouse, steady, guiding, a safeguard against chaos. But a lighthouse only works if people look to it, and more they don't. The problem isn't just that the light is dimming, it's that voters have stopped navigating by it altogether. Beneath the surface, something deeper is stirring. Economic frustration, cultural disillusionment, and a growing sense that the party isn't attuned to the struggles of working people. The question isn't whether Democrats can keep the light shining. It's whether they understand what's rising in the darkness and whether they can adapt before it overtakes them. It's going to be a great hour because I can assure you that John Wood Jr.'s politics are not the politics of Nina Turner, and yet I sense there may be some alignment on this particular issue about the failures that Democrats must confront. Since he is in studio with me live, I say hello to John Wood Jr. Good to see you, my friend. Your take on what the nation has to say about the challenge that this party faces, sir.
Yeah, well, I think that's Tavis. Good to be on with you. Always good to be in conversation and sociological fellowship, so to speak, with the KBLA family. Um, yeah, it's a crisis of credibility with respect to the Democratic Party on a fundamental level, I think, where sort of the professed values and rhetoric of the party don't always seem to line up with the experience people have living under Democratic governance. And so Ezra Klein made a very interesting kind of complimentary sort of point in the piece I was listening to about him, where he's talking about the fact that cost of living is rising highest. Democratic states across America, you have people leaving Democratic states and therefore voter share leaving Democratic states by the boatload. And he said that basically what you have is a situation where between the Democratic and Republican parties, you've got a party on the one hand, the Democrats who can't make government work, and a party with Republicans that wants government to fail. And as long as those are the options, people are probably going to go with the party that is simply sort of most unified and fighting the hardest, even if it's in a destructive sort of direction.
Let's say that again. Let's say one party
he said
can't make government work, and the other party wants government to fail.
That's
a conundrum, I'd say.
That's the line.
Yeah.
That's the line, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the way life has unfolded in the state of California, in New York, in Illinois, and elsewhere where Democrats are in power, is that the cost of living keeps going up and up and up, regardless of rhetoric around wanting to empower the poor, regardless of rhetoric around social mobility and broadening out equity and opportunity, so on and so forth. Klein gives the example, just as sort of representative example, of the bullet train in California, originally estimated to cost $30 billion and was supposed to be completed in 2 years, way back in 2008. Right now, that price tag stands about $135 billion and is not expected to be completed at the earliest by 2033, but we know that ain't likely to happen. And it's just a series. I mean, you could go to affordable housing, go to any number of things, and for all sorts of reasons that I'm sure Nina would be well positioned to opine on, the promises made to ordinary folks tend not to cash out in the things that they can feel. And so you can't just rely on the opposition to be bigoted or fascist or racist, this, that, or the other, as a sufficient argument for what Democrats can do for the American people. They have to feel it in their daily lives, right? And that's something the Democrats haven't really been able to cash in on, and it undercuts even the credibility of some of the larger arguments they want to make in defense of democracy, even in a perilous moment such as what we have with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, Doge, et cetera, et cetera. So that's my read on it.
To that line, Lena, the question isn't whether Democrats can keep the light shining. It's whether they understand what's rising in the darkness and whether they can adapt before it overtakes them. Your take, Nina Turner.
Well, Brother Tavis, it's such a pleasure to join you on your show, and to Brother John Wood Jr., pleasure to be in your midst. And just amen to everything he said. He already preached my gospel. I'm with him all the way on that. You cannot depend. And I was shouting that from the rooftop. It's not enough to have said how bad Donald Trump was or would be in Trump 2.0. If you're not offering the people something, you got to have a vision that provides provision. What I mean by that, you got to be able to be a party that changes material conditions, especially as you indict the other party, especially as you are on a high horse. And the Democratic Party has been exposed to be hypocrites. That is exactly what they are. And Minister Malcolm X described the two parties, but especially the indictment that he made in his speech in 1965, I believe, in Detroit, Michigan, the ballot or the bullet. He basically told black people in particular, you put Democrats first and they put you last. He enumerated how much control they had within the Congress, within the presidency at that particular moment in history, and how they basically lied to black people and didn't fulfill many of their promises. And any promises that they did make, they fulfilled them in a half-hearted way. You fast forward to 2025, and Minister Malcolm X's words are as true today as they were when he spoke them.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how we read, you first, John, then Nina. I wonder how we read in this present moment the bashing of Democrats. And I'm not suggesting in this moment that either of you is bashing the Democratic Party. I'm not even suggesting that the writers of this article in The Nation magazine are bashing the Democratic Party. But it sure feels like they're a whipping post right about now. And I'm not suggesting they shouldn't be per se, but it feels like they're like a piñata. And I'm not sure that treating the Democratic Party like a piñata is the answer to the prayer either. I don't know what the answer is, but I don't know that if we want to live in a republic where there is, at the very least, I think there ought to be more. This audience knows my view on this, but at the very least, there has to be a strong two-party system. I don't know that beating up on one party, the better of the two options, and treating it like a piñata is the answer to the prayer. even as I want to hold them accountable, John.
Yeah, by all means. Well, first of all, let me just say a quick word of praise for Sister Turner, because this is the first time she and I have ever been on the line together. But I think that I have followed her. I think maybe we followed each other on on X, on Twitter.
Sure.
For some years, and I think that she's always set an example of courage, conscience, and consistency to engage in a little complimentary alliteration. And so it actually really is a pleasure to be able to talk to you directly. But yeah, well, I mean, Tavis, first of all, let me just say that the sort of structural nature of the Democratic Party is kind of axiomatically challenging, because the Democratic Party, more so than the Republican Party, is very much a coalitional party across large, broad constituencies. Any major party is, including the Republican Party, but with the Democratic Party, is all sorts of competing interests and cultures that it has to balance. And so it's not easy herding that many cats. And so one has to have a degree of empathy, I think, for Democratic leadership. But having said that, what you want from the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, and indeed any major American institution, is accountability, moral and material accountability, and an accountability to vision, right? It's not enough to try and placate one group or the other, placate donors, hope that the voters don't notice, turn around, act like you didn't do what you said you did, XYZ. You have to cast a vision, and this is where the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. also enters in as important. You have to cast a forward-looking vision that is deep enough, powerful enough, profound enough to appeal to a broad and disparate coalition that isn't going to agree on everything, and yet could be rallied by a vision of the future that appeals to the deepest and most profound needs of everybody in that coalition, and have the courage to stick to it. What the Democratic Party, I think, is doing instead is sort of ping-ponging back and forth from one wall to the other, sort of relying on polls and focus groups and old, tired sort of messaging, and trying not to offend this group or that group, and losing sight of the power of principle. And so that's how this moment strikes me. We have to have accountability across the board to principle, and then strategic practicality has to be layered on top of that.
So it seems to me, Nina, just to pivot ever so gently here, that leadership matters. I think all three of us can agree on that, and I suspect the listeners right now would agree that leadership matters. And even though we are a country that loves to critique leadership, loves to bash, there's that word again, bash leadership, we are a people that needs to be led. We need to be led whether we acknowledge it or not. So leadership does, in fact, matter. I've said this many, many times over the course of my 30-plus year career about the Middle East. What tends to happen in my read of in the Middle East is that at the wrong time, you have the wrong leaders. Let me just be abundantly clear. Bibi is not the right person. He's just not. And the same has been true on the other side for a long time. Too often in this conversation, the wrong person has been at the helm on the other side in Gaza. So the conflict is something we could discuss ad infinitum, ad nauseum. We ain't got time for that right now. I'm just saying that the leaders on both sides of this conflict always seem to be the wrong people. Why am I raising that? I'm saying this as lovingly as I can, but with each passing day, I am convinced that Chuck Schumer, I'll couch hell for this, I'm going to say it anyway, I'm just not convinced in this moment that Chuck Schumer is the answer to the prayer. Let me go a step further, get myself in more trouble. As much as I love Hakeem Jeffries, and as much as I love the fact that a brother could be the Speaker of the House, that turns me on. I'm a student of history. I would love nothing more. I'm watching the way that Hakeem Jeffries is showing up right now. Yeah. I love the brother. He's my fraternity brother. Yo. And yet, I'm just not convinced at the moment that these are the two right folk for the assignment. And I'm not trying to bash them, Nina Turner.
No, you're exactly right, and Brother Wood Jr. is exactly right as well. I know we vibing very strong today. I don't consider it bashing as much as I call it truth-telling, and it's unpleasant at times to reveal the truth. You are absolutely right. Those two are not the right leaders for this time. Timing does matter, and who is in the right time matters as well. Symbols matter, but I would say substance matters more. So while I won't disregard the symbol of having a black man be the first Speaker of the House, to what does that mean to black people, and then to what does that mean to other marginalized people in this nation? If I just got you at the symbol, I don't need you. We need symbol and substance. And no, Hakeem Jeffries, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries is not the right man for this moment, and neither is Senator Chuck Schumer. Just straight up.
That's a strong indictment. It is a strong indictment. I'm not sure, again, what the answer is to all these questions. My job is to ask the questions. Sometimes I have answers as well, but it's quite a conundrum. I just don't know that they're meeting the moment, and I'm not sure what the answer is. Again, I'm back to my earlier point, John. I don't know that continuing, even as Nina calls it, truth telling, which I concur with. I guess what I'm fumbling here because I'm trying to understand how they get out of the wilderness. That's the issue the nation's raising. How I'm changing metaphors. They're talking about the lighthouse.
Yeah.
I'm using now the metaphor of the wilderness. Either way, they're lost.
Right.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders held a rally. I forget where, but this was just the other day, and he made a real point of highlighting the fact that he had 4,000 very eager and enthusiastic rally goers, who I think who were being galvanized around sort of Bernie's traditional program. He's trying to make the point, of course, that sort of more social democratic sort of populism can still sort of garner enthusiasm. But what you have in that is Bernie making a little bit of a bid for a sort of view of democratic politics in a moment where really the idea that the Democratic coalition has an animating kind of vision that can hold it together has fractured. Now the interesting thing is that is potentially, and look, I'm still a registered Republican for anybody listening to me who doesn't know. I mean, I was never on the Trump wagon. I haven't ever been really, I'm thoroughly disaffected and so forth, right? But, I'm saying this to somebody who, like you said, Tavis, I want to see two functioning parties, and I want to see moral accountability across the board in American politics. The moments in which we are broken in life are the moments in which the creative potential to come back together as something stronger and more inspired and more powerful, that's when that creative potential presents itself. But I do think that for the Democratic Party and for all of America, I bring it back, as I know you do, Tavis, as I know Professor West does, and maybe Nina too, but I bring it back to the Kingian vision, which is able to speak to the material needs of society while also having a moral, spiritual, and cultural vision of human dignity, right? And that ought to stand in stark contrast to what's being offered right now by the other side of the political equation.
You know me, you can't ever go wrong with a Kingian vision, so I would say amen to that. No questions asked. When we come forward, there's other news to cover as well. I just wanted to start with that because, again, I'm sitting in this chair every day, and I'm hoping and praying I'm going to see something at some point that's going to inspire me or tell me that there's a better way here. And every day that passes by, now we're, 2 or 3 months into this, and I'm still not seeing it. But when we come forward, there is news about this Columbia University activist, Mahmoud Khalil, that you should hear about. I'll let Nina Turner set the frame on that story when we come forward, and we'll jump from there. You're listening to Nina Turner and John Wood Jr. on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check your sunroof is closed first before driving through the car wash.
Whoa. No. Wait. Whoa.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois. I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. A federal judge blocked the Trump administration's attempt to deport Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil, who ICE claims has a revoked visa. Khalil, involved in anti-Israel protests, is legally in the U.S. with a green card. He is due in court Wednesday. Odell Beckham Jr. and comedian Drew Ski are named in a lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs, accused of involvement in a 2018 sexual assault incident. Both are denying the allegations. The new LA DA, Nathan Hochman, opposes a new trial for the Menendez brothers and wants them to remain locked up unless they admit guilt for their parents' 1989 murder. He won't oppose a resentencing hearing, which could lead to their release. And there was no grand prize winner in Monday night's big Powerball drawing, pushing the jackpot up to $353 million. Tonight's Mega Millions drawing is worth $256 million. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
4 days ago, the Lakers were the talk of the NBA with an 8-game winning streak and projections as a legitimate contender for the Western Conference title. The Lakers have lost 2 in a row after losing at Brooklyn Monday night, 111-108. Injuries are becoming a major issue. The Lakers did not have 4 players who have started games this season, including LeBron, who is out for 2 weeks with a groin injury. Injuries to Jackson Hayes, Rui Hachimura, and Dorian Finney-Smith are showing how vulnerable the Lakers can be if they're not healthy. The Clippers are in New Orleans tonight to start a 3-game trip. The Clippers are going for their 4th straight win. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts has a new contract. The Dodgers gave the 52-year-old Roberts a 4-year extension worth $32.4 million. Roberts and the Angels' Ron Washington are the only 2 black managers in Major League Baseball. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
We've got a lot to talk about.
On January 7th, 2025, the Eaton Canyon Fire scorched Altadena, torching everything in its path. Homes, wealth, and legacy burned in one night. But will Altadena rise from the ashes? I'm James Farr. On the Conversation Live Altadena Rising, we're chronicling the recovery, the resilience, and justice for the nation. This is the show of record. Unapologetically progressive. We're not blacking down. So join me, James Farr, on the Conversation Live Altadena Rising every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific with the rebroadcast on Sunday at noon.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
A new day is on the horizon.
Behind every great moment in history, there's a woman whose story went untold. This March, KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates the trailblazers who changed our world. From Rosa Parks to Constance Baker Motley, from Katherine Johnson to Kamala Harris, these are the voices that broke barriers, challenged limits, and reshaped America. Join us all month long as we honor the women who dared to dream, fight, and lead. KBLA Talk 1580, amplifying women's stories that inspire generations.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project.
Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail, because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with John Wood Jr. and Nina Turner. John Wood Jr., host of his own program, The Reconstruction Project, my colleague here in L.A., and the national spokesperson for Braver Angels. Nina Turner, you well know, former Ohio senator. You see her often on CNN and other places offering commentary. She is the co-host with our friend and brother, Dr. Cornel West, of their own program called Truth Time. Delighted to have both of them on in this hour. Speaking of truth telling, you know the old adage that in any war time experience, the first casualty is always the truth. And we are at war in this country. Take the metaphor any way you want to take it. And the truth is the first casualty. It's being trampled upon right about now, as are our civil rights. Let me just set the story up right quick, and I'll let Nina go first on this one. So they have arrested a former, ICE that is, has arrested a former Columbia University graduate student who gained prominence amid Columbia University's pro-Palestinian demonstrations. But this arrest in particular has divided the American Jewish community, which finds itself trying to, on the one hand, reconcile a long-standing focus on Jewish safety and support, of course, for Israel, trying to balance that with a historical commitment to civil liberties and civil rights. It was, in fact, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel who marched alongside Dr. King, previously mentioned by John Wood Jr., Dr. King. And there are many other Jewish brothers and sisters who were supportive of this movement. Harry Belafonte brought many of them in with his organizing for Dr. King. So there's a longstanding commitment to civil rights and certainly civil liberties. And so they're trying to balance these two things. Here's where the rub comes in. And by the way, I should mention, this is the same Columbia University that the Trump administration just cut $400 million in funding for. Yep. $400 million in funding they cut with one stroke of a pen for Columbia University. So you know they're feeling it. So Mahmoud Khalil, who is, by the way, a legal permanent resident of this country. Let me say that again. He is a legal permanent resident of this country, was arrested by ICE. And we don't know what the allegations are. They provided no real evidence of the allegations against Khalil. Here's what we know: that he helped, as I said earlier, organize protests at the university about the war in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. Here's what we also know: Donald Trump has said on Truth Social that Khalil's arrest was the first of many to come. He's telling you flat out, this is the first of many more to come. In a post 48 hours ago on X, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the administration would revoke the visas and green cards of Hamas supporters in America so they can be deported, close quote. But watch this. There's no evidence that he was coordinating anything with Hamas. There's no evidence of that. He's a legal resident of this country. No evidence whatsoever he was supporting or coordinating anything with Hamas. And he's been arrested, and they're telling us that there are more of these arrests to come. One does not have to be a rocket scientist to understand that this is going to be this first of all, it's just treacherous, right? It's treacherous terrain. But we see, Nina, where this is headed with the Trump administration now using its powers to start arresting people who are expressing points of view that they don't agree with. It's a slippery slope, Nina Turner.
Oh, yeah, it's absolute power. To quote, not my quote, absolute power corrupting, absolutely. It's using government as a blunt force object, and they're certainly trampling on Khalid's civil liberties for sure. And so it's him today. Who is it tomorrow, especially since they have not proven, and they are making a parallel between being pro-Palestinians. They're linking being pro-Palestinian to being pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian lives and security to being pro-terrorism. And again, with no evidence at all, they're yanking this man out. And even though it may be similar and not the same, I want to say this example I'm about to give is similar, but not the same. Of black folks having to be chattel slaves, and then even in so-called freedom mode, being able to be yanked out of their homes, separated from their families without anything. They're doing a similar, not the same. There's no comparison to chattel slavery, but operating in a similar way. They're operating a similar way in the 1950s with McCarthyism. You say it's so, you label people, and then you take away their livelihood by force, and you try to justify what you're doing. What I'm asking the American people to think about deeply, it's him today. Who could it be tomorrow, and what topic could it be tomorrow if the government can label you as this or that without any evidence or proof and then just yank you up?
Yeah. I'm thinking as Nina's talking, John Wood Jr., if the administration's frame is that Mr. Khalil, is in violation of an executive order prohibiting anti-Semitism, and they get to define what anti-Semitism is, right, and they define it as being in support of the Palestinian people, then a whole lot of us are in trouble. They could be arresting Nina Turner tomorrow. They could be arresting Tavis Smiley tomorrow, Cornel West tomorrow, others tomorrow. There are many of us who fall in the same category as Mahmoud Khalil, who've expressed concern on behalf of the Palestinian people. We would be in violation of that executive order that the State Department has referenced prohibiting anti-Semitism, so long as they get to define that term. That is scary, John Wood Jr.
And just I'm laughing a little bit because I hadn't really thought about this angle before, but of course this would be from the same administration and some of the same forces whose critiques of DEI are basically based on the idea that certain sort of, like, so to speak, racially conscious language aimed at prejudice and bigotry in institutional settings constitutes an arbitrary definition of racism that has no place in the way institutions should be operating. And yet that is exactly
I see where you're going. I see where you're going.
That is exactly the sort of reasoning being used to sort of conjure up the substance of anti-Semitism out of the air. I mean, look, there's a vast spectrum of people, even within the larger universe of folks who are critical of Israel and supportive of the Palestinians in terms of how people feel about Hamas. You've got people who are adamantly champions of the rights of the Palestinians and who want to bring an end to the war, to the genocide, if this is the term that you favor, as many people do. And yet that doesn't make you a supporter of Hamas. But I would argue that even if you are a supporter of Hamas in the sense that you believe that they have the right to fight back in the way that they are doing, you will find yourself in deep disagreement with John Wood Jr., who has many levels of moral condemnation of Hamas, but you should also find yourself defended by the First Amendment and the Constitution of the United States. Yeah. And if we can't hold these two truths in mind simultaneously, what we have is not only an abandonment of the Constitution, but a permission structure for the Trump administration, or any government, but certainly here now the Trump administration, to simply show the American people that they can flex their power without political consequences. And I think that that's what you're getting here and now.
I'm with John Wood Jr. I may vehemently disagree with everything you have to say, but I will just as vehemently defend your right to say it. Apparently, the Trump administration agrees with neither John Wood Jr. nor Tavis Smiley.
Or Patrick Henry.
Or Patrick Henry, for that matter. I digress for now. More with John Wood Jr. I love a smart Negro. More with John Wood Jr. and Nina Turner when we come forward.
California to the Carolinas. Everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Do you enjoy fatty foods, sweets, and alcohol? Who doesn't? Unfortunately, all those things put a lot of pressure on our liver. That's why pharmacist, best-selling author, and nutritional expert Sherry Torkos recommends Active Liver from New Nordic.
The liver is an incredible organ. It works nonstop to process toxins and chemicals from our food and drinks, medications we take, and even environmental exposures. As a health expert, I'm often asked how to support the liver's natural detoxification process and offset the effects of fatty foods, sugar, and alcohol. I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. This gentle plant-based supplement is an effective way to support your liver's vital functions as well as your energy and overall well-being.
With its powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, Active Liver is the perfect way to keep your liver healthy and you feeling your best. Active Liver is available in both a delicious gummy or tablet. You can find Active Liver in the vitamin aisle at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-511-2112. That's 800-511-2112. 800-511-2112.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and John Wood Jr. and Nina Turner. Nina, I'm watching my clock. You host the show, so you know how this works here. It's getting tighter as we get to the top. But I want to just pivot here for a second. We referenced Dr. King earlier in this conversation. We obviously talked about Donald Trump and the way he's showing up. This budget is being debated, of course, in Washington even as we speak. We discussed it on this program. King famously said that budgets are moral documents. Budgets are moral documents. You can say what you say, but you are who you are. And when you lay your budget on the table and I see your priorities, I know exactly what matters to you because budgets are moral documents. Say a quick word, if you will, here in these 2 minutes about the unfulfilled promise of what those of us who are students of history know as the freedom budget.
Yeah, definitely follow the money. I can tell you that. That's where you're going to find. It's the same thing. But, yeah, the freedom budget as envisioned by Asa Philip Randolph, one of the greatest unionists of the 20th century, Bayard Rustin, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is the continuation of the civil rights movement itself. People get stuck on the march, which was momentous in every single way, but all of those men and their contemporaries working towards a type of justice and liberation for Black people, understood the economic component. And so the freedom budget for all Americans was part of that. And we weren't taught that in school, obviously. And Bayard Rustin once said, and I'm paraphrasing him here, that this country has never done anything and will never do anything solely for the Negro. And that is why we call it the freedom budget for all Americans. Just globally, the goal was to eradicate poverty in 10 years. They had several pillars. Some of the things we hear 21st century progressives talk about, housing, work, healthcare, you name it. That they understood they had to pull in the political dynamic, the policy dynamic into all of this. And they really drew upon FDR's 4 freedoms, and namely the freedom from want. And so they assembled economists and social scientists and just individuals from all backgrounds, civic-based, civil rights-based, religious-based people to join them. And they had over 150 signers on the original document. And so what I am doing in my capacity as a senior fellow at the Institute on Race, Power, and Political Economy at the New School, working with Dr. Derek Hamilton, and also my work as the founder of We Are Somebody, is bringing this back to the fore and putting a little 21st century on it.
Yep. I love that. Of all those freedoms, I love that phrase, Nina, the freedom from want. You don't ever think about it in that regard. Just the freedom from want. But we're in a moment right now. There are a whole lot more people who are going to be falling into that category of just wanting and needing if this administration keeps moving the way that it is. Our remaining moments with Nina Turner and John Wood Jr. when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
If you've struggled to lose weight in the past, this important message is for you because you could lose as much as 50 pounds or more with Zelfie. Zelfie makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelfie providers can prescribe FDA-approved GLP-1 weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others. Plus, help get the medication covered by insurance so it's as little as $0 a month.
The doctors are super helpful, and the meds have been a game changer. It's the first program I've had success with.
Before Zelfie, I was unable to lose weight, even though I was eating healthy and exercising 6 days a week. Zelfie helped me not only lose weight, but I feel so much better.
Text GOAL to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text GOAL to 200-300. That's GOAL to 200-300. GOAL to 200-300.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
I've got 4 minutes left. I'm going to give 2 minutes to John Wood Jr., 2 minutes to Nina Turner, and I want y'all to pay attention to this. The same exit question for both. John Wood Jr. sees the world through a more conservative lens. Nina Turner clearly sees the world through a more progressive lens. I'm curious as to see how these answers may dovetail. We shall see. The question through your conservative lens, John Wood Jr., first 2 minutes to you. What is the path forward as you see it?
Yeah, indeed. Well, yeah, I appreciate it, and I offer this in the spirit of compatibility. Although we shall see what is and what isn't and so forth. I mean, I am so on a sort of a local kind of Afro-specific level, I am a believer in what the historian Jeffrey Ogbar terms Afro self-determinism. I do believe in the importance of building up community-based institutions from the ground up in the private economy, in the educational system, in ministry, etc. And I do think that there's a degree to which the African-American community needs to look within its own resources to revitalize the building blocks of black communities, also for the purposes of anchoring a broader American culture which needs the moral clarity of the black freedom tradition to even cast the forward-looking vision on the future of the country as a whole. And just building on that latter observation, I do believe that arising from the deeper values of the gospel, arising from the better angels of American history, and arising from the vision of Martin Luther King Jr., we need to revive the philosophy of nonviolence and agape love in a way that speaks truth to power through conscience, in a way that says that everybody in this country, black, white, left, and right, has a place within its democratic promises, but we need to speak that with the love that brings moral accountability to it, instead of chopping people up into all sorts of political categories that makes them feel alienated from the sort of leadership that can actually make the world a better place for everybody. And so that's my larger outline of how I see the future.
Nina Turner sees our politics and the future through a more progressive lens. Nina, what's the path forward as you see it?
Well, I'm amening my brother here. There's lots of similarities. I agree with basically 100% of what he had to say. I think working class, on my progressive lens, I would say that building up working class people and allowing them to thrive, not just survive, and understanding that poverty or being working class should not consign you to any less enjoyment of the fruits of your labor. And this nation, well before Trump came to office, he encapsulates it in a more hardcore way, but it makes poverty, it makes it a condition that consigns you to somehow you're not worthy. And that is what is happening in this country. It's been happening. It happens under Democrats as well. They just more savvy with it. I believe that the black liberation struggle is the way to liberate other people. I agree that black folks have picked up other people's bad habits. We need each other, and we are the moral consciousness of not only this nation, but also the world. And so that is why a freedom budget for all Americans resonates very well. I was able to sample that yesterday at the UAW Financial Secretaries Conference, where I had people from all walks of life standing up and saying, yeah, amen, this is the way to go. Black folks have to find the moral clarity for this nation to find the moral clarity. We are it. Yeah. And so we got to get together and understand our position in the universe. We got to free ourselves so that we can free somebody else.
We have covered a great deal in this hour, and I'm grateful to John Wood Jr. and Nina Turner. I want you to keep your eye on this, as I will. Mahmoud Khalil, discussed earlier in our dialogue, is the first activist to be disappeared by the Trump administration. The detention and attempted deportation of Khalil as a legal resident. They're still trying to deport him. It's a test in this moment to see how far Donald Trump can go and what he can get away with. This is a test that we all need to be ready for, because if you can be disappeared for your particular point of view when there's no evidence that you're in coordination with any outside, terrorist agency, and they can still disappear you, he will be the first. He will not be the last. This is one of many examples where Donald Trump has gone too far. Keep your eye on this story of Mahmoud Khalil, because there'll be others to come if he gets away with this. For now, I thank John Wood Jr. I thank Nina Turner. I appreciate you and love you both. I'll talk to you both soon. Thank you for your time. All right, that's hour one. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. A federal judge blocked the Trump administration's attempt to deport Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil, who ICE claims has a revoked visa. Khalil, involved in anti-Israel protests, is legally in the U.S. with a green card. He is due in court Wednesday. Odell Beckham Jr. and comedian Drewski are named in a lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs, accused of involvement in a 2018 sexual assault incident. Both are denying the allegations. The new LA DA, Nathan Hochman, opposes a new trial for the Menendez brothers and wants them to remain locked up unless they admit guilt for their parents' 1989 murder. He won't oppose a resentencing hearing, which could lead to their release. And there was no grand prize winner in Monday night's big Powerball drawing, pushing the jackpot up to $353 million. Tonight's Mega Millions drawing is worth $256 million. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
4 days ago, the Lakers were the talk of the NBA with an 8-game winning streak and projections as a legitimate contender for the Western Conference title. The Lakers have lost 2 in a row after losing at Brooklyn Monday night. One of injuries to Jackson Hayes, Rui Hachimura,